Oh, greetings and salutations. It's been a while since I've had a camera in front of me. Today we're going to be recording some hamstrings. What am I? I've had a nice big break from juice, from higher calories. I went through a big extended push phase where I got up to about a bit over 8,000 calories, and I just got to the point where I was just mentally fatigued from eating so much. So the coach and I opted for a bit of a health phase where we reduced the PEDs drastically and stayed in that health phase for about 11 to 12 weeks. The food came down as well. So the food came down from 8,000 calories to about 4.5, and the weight came down from waking up about 140 to waking up 132. So the reason behind that was to get nice and healthy, but I've also set myself up now for a big push. So I've made myself as healthy as possible, so now I can get as unhealthy as possible. Not really, but I want to, the plan is to maintain a lower body fat while increasing calories, increasing PEDs, and increasing training load along with volume, with the ideal being a total body recomp. So today we're going to be training hamstrings, which is an area that I mean, it's no secret, I need to focus on building up the hamstrings. That's why we're not training chest or back. I know this might not be as exciting as an arm pump to some people that aren't as invested in bodybuilding, but for those that are invested in bodybuilding, I understand how important it is to build the hamstrings in the lower body. So follow along. We're going to do some pre-activations. We're going to work up to some heavy top sets, work in a few supersets, all the cool shit. We're going to get a gargantuan pump. It's going to be fucking phenomenal. Let's do it. That hand can't quite fit in there. Ooh, that's GH hands right there. But back when you were training a lot, what was the ideal pre-workout back in the day?
1 VB, complex carbohydrates.
I would never make the time and effort to come in and do the pre-activations before beginning the actual workout. Now I've matured a little bit and I've realized that by performing my pre-activations, it's going to put me in a position to have a much better workout. So I want to get as much as I can to the session. By performing these pre-activations, I put myself in a position to have as much stability as possible, which allows me to perform the exercise better, which allows me to lift more weight, which allows me to build more muscle. So pre-activations, let's do it. Biohydrant, I like this one. So because we're training lower body today, this is obviously what I'm doing. It helps put some stability through the glutes, and it helps with opening up the hips. So the movement feels a bit nicer. So I do 10 reps on each leg, 2 times. Flexing the glute on the way up, opening up the hips, getting nice and stable. Some step ups. I like these. Again, stability through the glute, but also helps warm up the knee. So I like to do 2 to 3 seconds on the way down to really help get that knee nice and stable and get the glutes activated. These can be boring. It's not boring, but it's something that I think the value of can be really underestimated. I always notice when I have done these versus when I haven't, the difference in the quality of the workout. And the workout's always a lot better after I have done my pre-activations. So next time you are having a big workout, do your pre-activations. I was going to say do your fasted cardio. Do your pre-activations and you'll notice how much better the workout is. But obviously make sure the pre-activations that you're doing are specific to the workout you're about to undergo. So lower body, so the ones that we're doing now, these would be great for any lower body workout. Anything with squatting, anything with leg pressing. Today we're going to be doing hamstrings, we're going to be hinging at the hips. So this is great for hinging at the hips as well. So great drills for lower body. So another pre-activation that we're doing, this is for the upper body. This is more one that gets done on upper body day. I do like to do it before lower body day as well, just because when I am in a position where my body needs to be upright or I'm hinging at the hip and I need a lot of stability through the upper back, I find this helps provide it. It's great for putting the shoulders in place, so you'd use this before pressing, back day, shoulder day, but again, as much stability as possible, so we can be in a position to fucking perform and dominate every exercise. And we've got a heavy hinge pattern today. We're going to be doing a stiff leg deadlift, so that requires a lot of stability for the upper body. Then we move out to here. Nice rear delt pump.
Is this actually part of it?
Yeah. Final part, like an Arnold press. Twisting, rotating. With all of these pre-activation drills, I like to do 2 rounds, so 2 sets of each. And the rep range between 10 to 20. You can do more if you like, but I find that between 10 to 20, that's what I need to get nice and stable, get those muscles activated and working. All right, so the final pre-activation, we do a plank, we do 3 planks, we hold them each for 1 minute. So I like to do 1 minute on, 1 minute off, get the core nice and engaged. Squeezing the arms, squeezing the glutes, holding here for a minute. It sucks. Probably the worst part of the workout. After you do it, you do feel ready to train. First exercise of the workout, we're going to be doing the adductor machine. So this exercise isn't actually in the program, but I just like to add it in. I find that before I start hamstrings and hinging at the hips, if I've got this a bit pre-exhausted, it cops a bit more of a beating for the rest of the workout, and God knows the adductors need it. Graham Lansfield, who used to run NABA, he explained this to me the best. He said, Michael, we take a kilo of chicken breast. He said, if you take a kilo of chicken breast and imagine that's a kilo of muscle, imagine adding that to the inside of your leg, how much tissue that's going to translate as, how much volume that's going to provide to the leg. So I always like to start with adductors before any lower body work. Again, opens the hips up, makes everything else feel nice, but adductors, they can never be neglected. So we're going to do 3 sets, we're going to do 4-second negative and 10 to 12 reps, because it's not in the program, so we're not aiming to progressively overload this. This is just a bit of additional work that I like to chuck in.
Really get some good angles in this one.
Yeah, some good angles here, as you guys can see. I mean, there's not a lot going on there. You might need to zoom in a lot. As you'll see, Marcus, my young apprentice here, he's got his body in a nice upright position. And what we're thinking here, the main cue we're thinking is pulling the knees together. So we want to try and pull those knees together so that they touch, and then slowly control on the way out. So we contract the adductor on the way in, squeezing, and then slowly lowering it out, letting that muscle take all the tension on the eccentric portion of the movement. Just putting as much tension as possible through the inside of the leg. Precision, accuracy, and control. With bodybuilding, trying to build lean tissue, we want to make the exercise as inefficient as possible. So the target muscle, the isolated muscle, has to do as much work as possible. As opposed to powerlifting, where the body uses one system to move the weight, we're trying to isolate the muscles to move the weight themselves with immense precision, accuracy, and control. It's never a violent, jerky movement. It's always nice and controlled. Pause, squeeze, pause. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Ease it.
Come on, control it. Come on, get it. Good. Right, so the second exercise we're doing today, we're going to be doing a hip hinge. We're going to be doing a stiff leg from the floor. So we're going to be breaking at the hips. As opposed to having the knees completely straight, we're going to have, like, if you think of the knees as a straight leg as 180 degrees, we're going to be at 175. So we're going to be at 175 degrees bend in the knees. We're going to be pushing the hips back as far as we can, aiming to put as much tension through the hamstrings as possible, minimal through the glutes. So isolating the hamstrings using a 4-second descent and just just lifting as much fucking weight as possible through isolation. This is my favorite exercise for building the hams. Wrist wraps. What are they used for? They are used to hold on to weight. I usually like these, well, I really like these because what they do is they prevent me from putting so much tension in the forearms and the biceps, and they allow me to put the tension in the target muscle. People use these very incorrectly. So I don't even know if I want to talk about people using them incorrectly. I just want to talk about how to use them correctly. So one, getting it nice and wrapped around the wrist. That would be the first step. And while this seems very elementary to me, this is something that I just know how to do, but I know a lot of people don't know how to do it. So that's why I want to educate people so they know how to use this tool so they can get the absolute most out of it during the workout. So when we're approaching the bar, holding the wrist wrap at the end, the tail at the lengthened position, putting it against the bar, wrapping it around, feeding it between the index finger and the thumb. Notice how I'm doing this on the inside of my hand. I'm not doing it on the outside of my hand. You'd be dumbfounded if you knew how many times you see people place this on the outside. It's just not going to work. It's inefficient. It doesn't work properly. So we grab the tail in the lengthened position, wrap it around the bar, place it between the index and the thumb. From there, we've got control of the tail. We can then begin to wrap it around the bar until we can get it in our palm, and then finally tighten it as much as possible. Now we've got the ability to hold on to the bar without all the tension going through the forearms and the biceps, because the forearms and the biceps aren't the focus of this exercise. The focus is the hamstring. So we don't want to be worried about holding onto the bar so tightly that this becomes the focus and the hamstrings become a secondary afterthought. The hamstrings are the fucking priorities. So my final warm-up set now, I'll do just one rep. Important things to note with this hamstring bias hip hinge, we're not leaning forwards to lower the weight to the ground. We're not focusing on leaning forwards, we're focusing on pushing hips back. As we start, the bar isn't up against the shins. The bar's probably about, how far is that? I don't know, 5 to 10 centimeters away from the shins. That just creates a bit of room so that the bar doesn't travel on the way up, and it just allows it to keep the progression linear, so it keeps moving up. So you'll notice that as I do this final warm-up set, I breathe at the bottom, brace, get to the top. I'll probably take another breath again at the top so I can brace again, and then I'll focus on pushing the hips back, not leaning forwards. Lats tight. Perfect, man. Please. Get those lats tight. Huge brace now, huge brace now, huge brace now, huge brace. Up, 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 up. Control down slow, that was the last one. That was at 6 or 7 reps. We cut that 1 rep short. We could have gone one further, but what we'll see, the fatigue starts to accumulate, and once the form starts to break down, it's not safe to continue the set anymore. We don't want to increase the risk of injury, we want to decrease the risk of injury. So as the form starts to break down, you got a lot out of that, but that's why I call it, because it's not worth taking that extra rep if we're going to put ourselves in danger of injury. So while it might be a bit humbling for me to reduce the weight, I know that this is going to be fucking challenging, but it's getting me closer towards what the actual goal is. And the goal is to build the hamstrings. The goal isn't to move the weight and put tension in the arse and make that even bigger. It's to build the hamstrings. So cop to the ego, blow to the ego. It is what it is. soul. Nice. Exercise number 3, we're doing a hip extension. We were going to do a superset, but you know, sometimes you have to improvise and change things around a little bit. So hip extension, we use a 2-minute rest. So there's a rest period with everything. Obviously we did 1 set of the previous exercise, so there's no rest period there, but we do generally keep about a 2-minute rest period, which we abide by strictly to increase the intensity, to jack up the fatigue the muscle goes under. So this is our hip extension. Very hard to do when you're heavy. I'm not using any added weight because I don't feel like I need to. It's fucking hard enough. Heels jammed in, jammed in, jammed in. Again, all the flexion comes from the knees. So I will be hunched over so the hip is flexed, but all the flexion comes from the knee. All the movement comes from the knee. So if you lean forwards, control the negative, and then squeeze from the hamstrings.
Up. Come on. Yes, get this rep, man.
Oh my god. For fuck's sake. Oh. Right, exercise number 4, which could almost be classified as 4 and 5 because it is a superset. We're going to do a unilateral lying hamstring curl, aiming to shorten the muscle as much as possible. We're going to superset that with a seated hamstring curl, where we're going to be working the hamstring in the length and range. On the lying hamstring curl, we're going to be doing sets of 15, aiming for a 3 to 4 second eccentric. 3 to 4 second eccentric again on the seated hamstring curl, but again, here you're really trying to focus on the shortened range, and then on the seated curl, focusing on the lengthened range. Part of the superset, we're aiming to work 50 to 75% of the full range of motion. Biasing the, can you push this down for me, bro? Give it a good push. No, harder, harder, harder. Yeah. In the lengthened range, still doing a 3-second negative. 1, 2, 3. And I'm not doing the full range, so if you're in the gym and you try this and it looks very weak and pathetic, ask them to try it. 2 reps in, kills. It might not seem like much, but doing it unilateral, so 1 leg at a time, controlling the negative, it's unbelievably painful. You might get through the first 2 or 3 reps alright, but by the time you get to rep 12, 13, 14, 15, you just want it to be over, but it's not over. Man, it burns so bad. It fucking hurts so much. So try it. It looks pathetic. The range of motion looks embarrassing, but it looks like you're doing the exercise incorrectly. But little do the people know. They don't know what you know. They didn't watch this video and learn what you learned. We're doing a seated calf raise. I really like the seated calf raise because it works the outside of the calf a lot. The way we're going to approach this, we're going to do our first set of 15 reps. We're going to do a 2-second contraction, a 3-second negative, and then a 2-second static hold at the bottom. We'll do that for 15 reps. Then we'll take a 60 seconds rest before we jump straight back in, and we're going to do a 2-second hold in the contraction, and then a bit looser on the way down because we're going to be immensely fatigued by then. So that'll be 1 set. So we're going to do 2 sets of what I just explained for the calves, and that will fill them full of blood. It'll be a gargantuan pump, and it's a great way to stay in shape. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Seems like an awful lot of shit to explain with these exercises, and it is, but the position that I'm in at the moment is I've got 1 foot in the evidence-based community and I've got 1 foot in the hardcore bro science community. So what I like to do is try and marry the two differing sides up so that I have the work ethic and the intensity of the bro science guys who work really hard but might not be the most educated, and then I get enough education from the evidence-based community that I can apply that mindset to the training and then ultimately get the most out of it. And I think I don't know, I feel like that's probably the best way to proceed, is to not think you know everything and always be open to learning and just fucking having a crack. Guys, thank you for training hamstrings with me today in the gymnasium. If you want to be a rugby player, it's very crucial that you have very big, strong, muscular hamstrings. Thanks for training hamstrings. We're not playing rugby, we're building fucking muscle. So thanks for joining me for the hamstring workout. I hope you enjoyed it, I hope you learned something. Be a mad dog, be a legend, be a sick cunt, and hit the subscribe button. If you found it useful, share it, tell someone about it. Or if not, fuck yeah. But if you do, thank you. Thanks for joining me with hamstrings.
Thanks.
It's a me, Mario.
You wanna know my name, then go and tell us. You wanna know my